Yeah.
all thanks to a pair of glasses.
So where does Meta even begin with something this ambitious?
Well, they're tackling it from a few different angles.
Okay.
Think of it like building a bridge to the future,
Right.
So they're refining their current smart glasses, like the ones they made with Ray-Ban,
Hmm?
to make them more appealing like right now. But at the same time, they're working on these like super advanced prototypes that push the boundaries of what's possible with AR.
Augmented reality.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're playing the short game and the long game.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about those prototypes.
Yeah.
I'm seeing code names like Supernova, which sounds pretty intense.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But supernova is actually an umbrella term.
Okay.
They're developing a whole family of glasses under this code name.
Really?
Yeah, so there's the Supernova 2, designed specifically for athletes.
Okay.
So imagine like a cyclist wearing these.
Yep.
Okay, so built-in cameras capture the ride, AI analyzes their performance, and they can even take calls without taking their hands off the handlebars.
Oh, wow.
It's like a fitness tracker, a communication device,
Mm-hmm.
and a high-tech camera all rolled into one.
That makes a lot of sense given their partnership with EssilorLuxottica. The company behind brands like Oakley and Ray-Ban, they're already experts in crafting like stylish and functional eyewear.
Exactly. They're tapping into that existing expertise.
Yeah.
But what about people who aren't hitting the slopes or cycling through mountains?
Yeah.
Meta hasn't forgotten about them. They've got something called Hypernova in the works, and it's aimed at a broader audience.
Okay. What's the big idea with Hypernova?
So imagine this. You're walking down the street, and you see a notification pop up, not on your phone, but like subtly in your field of vision, thanks to this tiny display built right into the lens.
Oh, wow.
That's Hypernova.
Okay.
It's a step closer to full-blown AR, giving you those like quick bits of information without needing to constantly pull out your phone.
Okay. I can definitely see the appeal there. Constant connectivity without the distraction, potentially. But all this tech probably comes at a premium.
You're right. The article mentions Hypernova could retail for around $1,000.
Hmm.
Compare that to the basic Ray-Ban model, which is about $300. So
Yeah.
they're clearly targeting different price points,
Right.
trying to make this technology accessible to a wider range of people.
It's like they're building out an ecosystem of options, similar to how we have budget-friendly phones and then the high-end flagships.
Exactly.
But let's talk about the truly futuristic stuff. This article mentions a prototype called Orion, and that's where things get really interesting. Imagine a world where information is literally overlaid onto your reality. Need directions, they pop up right in front of you, guiding you through the streets. Want to learn about a historical landmark? Just look at it and all the details appear as if by magic.
Yeah.
That's the promise of Orion. True augmented reality.
And that's where we see Meta's long-term vision coming into play. Orion is designed to deliver that immersive AR experience, but it's not without its challenges. We're talking about some complex technology here.
So what's the catch?
Well, according to the article, to use Orion, you need more than just the glasses. There's a control bracelet you wear on your wrist, and then you need an external computer module to handle all the processing. It's powerful stuff, but we're not talking about a sleek, lightweight pair of glasses.
Yeah, that sounds a bit clunky for everyday use.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Plus, this level of sophistication doesn't come cheap. The price tag on Orion, a cool $10,000. So it's pretty clear they're not targeting the average consumer just yet.
So who is Meta targeting with a $10,000 AR headset?
Developers.
Oh.
Think of them as the pioneers venturing into this new digital frontier.
Right.
Meta's goal, as per the article, is to get Orion into the hands of creative minds by 2026. Let them build the apps, the experiences, the whole ecosystem that will eventually make AR accessible to everyone. They're even positioning it as a direct competitor to Snap's AR spectacles,
Oh, wow.
which are already making waves in the developer community.
That makes a lot of sense. Get the foundation right, build out that software, and then refine the hardware to make it more consumer-friendly down the line.
Exactly.
But they're not stopping there. They've already got their sights set on the next generation code named Artemis.
Artemis is the next step in their evolution.
Okay.
If Orion is the bulky, powerful first attempt, Artemis is the refined, sleeker, more user-friendly iteration.
Okay.
Think lighter weight, better integration, maybe even ditching that external module.
So you're saying Artemis is where things start to feel like a true smartphone replacement?
Potentially? The article suggests Artemis will arrive around 2027, and it seems like they're aiming to make AR something you'd actually want to wear all day, every day. It's pretty mind-blowing to think about, isn't it? The shift from staring at a screen in our hands to having information like seamlessly integrated into our world, it really makes you question what the future holds.
Yeah, it's both exciting and a little unnerving, right? Like we're on the verge of something huge, but we're not quite sure what the long-term consequences might be.
And that's a conversation we need to have. This technology has the potential to be like incredibly beneficial, connecting us in new ways, making information more accessible. But there are also potential downsides, and it's important to acknowledge those.
So what kind of downsides are we talking about? What should we be cautious of?
Well, privacy is a big one. If we're all wearing glasses with cameras constantly capturing our surroundings, who owns that data? How is it being used? Are we comfortable with companies potentially having access to our entire visual history?
That's a really good point. It's not just about what we're intentionally sharing, it's about all that passive data collection happening in the background.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for manipulation. Right now, we're bombarded with targeted ads on our phones and computers. But imagine a world where those ads are literally projected onto our world, personalized based on our location, our interests, even our emotions. Could we even tell the difference between reality and advertising?
Okay, that's a little unsettling to think about. It feels like we'd be giving up even more control over our attention and our choices.
And that's why these ethical considerations need to be part of the conversation from the very beginning. We can't wait until this technology is fully integrated into our lives to start asking these questions.
Absolutely. We need to be proactive about setting boundaries and ensuring that these technologies are used responsibly and ethically. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about accessibility. We've mentioned these price points, $300, $1,000, even $10,000. Could this technology end up creating a digital divide?
That's another very real concern. If the cost of entry is too high, we risk exacerbating existing inequalities. Imagine a world where only the wealthy have access to the full potential of AR, while everyone else is left behind, still tethered to their outdated smartphones. That's not a future we want to create.
It's almost like a sci-fi dystopia, right? The haves and the have-nots defined by their access to augmented reality.
And it's not just about affordability. We also need to consider accessibility for people with disabilities. These devices need to be designed inclusively, ensuring that everyone can benefit from this technology, regardless of their physical limitations.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about the social and ethical framework we build around it. But even if we get all that right, there's still the question of social interaction. Are we going to become even more isolated, even more disconnected from the people around us?
It's a valid concern. I mean, think about it. If we're all walking around with our heads in the metaverse, oblivious to the real world, what happens to those spontaneous interactions, those chance encounters that make life so rich?
It's almost ironic, right? We create this technology to connect us, but it could end up pushing us further apart.
But it doesn't have to be that way. The key is balance. We need to be mindful of our usage to make sure we're not letting technology dictate our lives, and we can use this technology to enhance our real-world connections. Imagine going on a hike with friends and having information about the plants and animals pop up as you walk by. Or imagine sharing a virtual meal with family members who live far away. It's all about using technology intentionally and thoughtfully.
So it's not about rejecting technology altogether. It's about shaping it to serve our needs and enhance our lives, not detract from them.
Exactly. And that's where you, our listener, come in. We're curious to know your thoughts on all this. What excites you about this potential future? What concerns you? What questions do you have?
This isn't just a conversation for tech experts or industry insiders. This is a conversation for all of us because the future of technology is a future we're building together.
And it's important to remember that Meta isn't the only player in this game we have. We have Apple, Google, Microsoft all vying for a piece of the AR pie. It's like a new gold rush with everyone racing to stake their claim on this emerging technology.
So as consumers, we have choices to make. Which companies do we want to support? What features are most important to us? What values do we want reflected in the development of this technology?
Those are great questions. And as this technology continues to evolve, it's going to be crucial to stay informed, to do our research, and to make conscious decisions about how we want to engage with it.
It's a lot to process, right? But it's a conversation worth having.
Hmm.
So as you go about your day, take a moment to think about how you interact with technology. What role does it play in your life? And how do you envision that role evolving in the years to come?
Because the future of technology isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we actively shape through our choices, our demands, and our expectations.
It really feels like we're on the cusp of like a major shift, almost like when smartphones first came on the scene, you know?
Yeah.
Remember how revolutionary that felt?
Absolutely. And just like with smartphones, there's this mix of excitement and apprehension We can see the potential benefits, but we're also wary of the potential pitfalls, and that's where these conversations become so important.
Yeah, we've talked about the potential downsides, the privacy concerns, the ethical dilemmas, but let's zoom out for a moment and consider the big picture. If Meta's vision succeeds, what does a world without smartphones actually look like?
It's a world where information is seamlessly integrated into our everyday lives. Imagine walking through a city and instantly seeing reviews of restaurants pop up as you pass by, or like historical facts about landmarks appear as you look at them. Imagine attending a conference and having everyone's name and job title subtly displayed above their heads.
Okay, some of that sounds incredibly helpful, like those real-time reviews, but other parts, like the name tags, feel a bit intrusive. It's a lot to get used to.
And that's why this transition can't happen overnight. There's going to be a period of adjustment, a time for society to grapple with these new norms and figure out what we're comfortable with. Think about how long it took for us to adapt to smartphone etiquette, for example.
It's true. It wasn't that long ago that people were taking calls in movie theaters and having loud conversations on public transportation. Now, most of us have a pretty good grasp of what's considered acceptable behavior in different settings.
Exactly. We'll need to go through a similar learning curve with smart glasses. There will be social faux pas, awkward moments, and a lot of trial and error as we navigate this new technological landscape.
And this goes back to something we talked about earlier. The future isn't predetermined. It's something we actively shape through our choices, our feedback, and our demands. If we're not comfortable with certain features, we can push back. We can demand better privacy controls. We can advocate for regulations that protect our rights.
Absolutely. This is a conversation that needs to involve everyone, not just tech companies and policymakers. We as users have a responsibility to engage, to be informed, and to voice our concerns.
So let's circle back to Meta's grand vision. They're betting big on a smartphone-free future, and they're investing billions of dollars to make it happen. But is it a realistic bet?
It's certainly a bold one, and whether they succeed or not depends on a lot of factors. The technology itself, consumer adoption, societal acceptance, the regulatory landscape. It's a complex equation with a lot of moving parts.
And what about you? What's your gut feeling? Do you think smartphones are truly going extinct?
If I had to make a prediction, I'd say we're not going to see smartphones disappear entirely anytime soon. They're too ingrained in our lives, too versatile, too affordable. But I do think they'll evolve, becoming more specialized, perhaps serving as companion devices to our smart glasses, rather than the primary hub for our digital lives.
So a gradual shift rather than a sudden extinction event. It's like those old rotary phones. They're still around, but they've been relegated to niche markets.
Exactly. And that's probably a more realistic scenario for smartphones as well. They'll find their niche, their specific purpose, but they won't dominate our lives the way they do now.
And that brings us to the big question for you, our listener. What do you think about all this? Does a world without smartphones excite you, terrify you, or leave you feeling indifferent? We want to hear your thoughts.
This is a conversation that's just beginning.
Hmm.
And the more voices we have, the more perspectives we consider, the better equipped we'll be to navigate this uncharted territory and shape a future that benefits us all.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Meta's plan for a smartphone-free future, we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep engaging in these crucial conversations because the future is not preordained. It's a canvas waiting for us to paint our vision upon it. So what kind of future will you create?
Good question.
All right, so